Have this process when we're in prep for a movie, trying to think of if we only had one shot to tell the story of the scene, what would that one shot be? I'm Dan Trachtenberg, and these are my best shots. I would say the interesting thing about Portal No Escape was, of course, the shot that is iconic to the game and to what I wanted to do in the movie, is to have her on one side sticking her hand through a portal, and then directly on the right third of screen, her hand comes out. I had shot this movie, I'd cut it, I'd scored it, and did not have the visual effects that the way they needed to be awesome. So I tweeted out all of my visual effects needs, and from that assembled this like international A-team of effects badasses all over Twitter. So compositors in LA, match movers in the Netherlands, particle guy in New York, and a CG modeler in the UK, all working virtually. And this is in like 2009. This is the nascent days of Twitter and working virtually to that capacity. Through that, was able to put together all the visual effects that the short needed to live up to our imaginations, be something that's special aesthetically and different from what people were already seeing in the video game. One of the small rooms at Comic-Con, I was premiering my short film. This was a year before it ever even went online. We had a tiny projector, and we showed the short, and it was cut off on the sides. It was center punched. So literally her sticking her hand in, her hand coming out the other side, not even visible. And it was like the iconic shot of the movie. But that certainly was like one of the first things to come to mind of how it could feel, this puzzle video game could feel cinematic. The shot of the movie for me personally was the shot where she wakes up inside the bunker for the first time, because it was my very first shot on a feature film, dream coming true. Here I am, terrified of making a movie for the first time, and the shot that we had on the agenda, because we wanted to shoot the movie largely in order, was her waking up, which was a very extended take that starts close up on her eye and then pulls back and around to the other side of her, which meant we had to, the grips had to move a physical wall to allow the camera department, and then bring the wall back in after the camera moved through. So it involved tons of choreography. We did 16 takes. In the end, we used a take that was perfect, other than there being a focus buzz in the middle when she reaches down for her shackles. And thankfully, even though a large part of the exciting visual effects aren't until the end of the movie, there actually were some secret hidden visual effects. And we took a take where the leg was in focus and grafted it onto the take with the better performance, and we're able to cobble together that shot. A part of what I love about it too is just that I really wanted to make sure that the audience was firmly linked to that character's experience. But sometimes suspense requires that you know some things that the main character doesn't, or she knows some things that you may not. So that with that shot, you're able to really feel connected to what she's doing as we move to each element, seeing her wake up, seeing the IV, and then the shackles. We are linked to her, but also she's seen the room and we haven't seen the room yet. So there's some anxiety for us of like, but where even are you, until the shot completes and moves around. So that was a nerve-wracking experience, and the very first shot I ever did for a feature film. The way that I got that movie was assembling a pitch deck of the kinds of moments and shots that inspired me and that I thought belonged in a movie like that. And there were several Hitchcock references. Notorious is one of them. There's a classic scene where they're trading a key, and there's a lot of keys in our movie, and photography and editing that all is working towards the hierarchy of knowledge of when the audience knows certain things. All that's a part of that palette that comes from Hitchcock. But also, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? It was like a filmed play, but very cinematic. There's quite a few scenes where, Sidney Poitier like walks towards camera and then trades places. A lot of what we credit Spielberg for today, of like multiple shots inside one take, was happening in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and really inspired a lot of the photography in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Don't you ever besmirch Billy Joel.
So for The Boys, the big shot for me was the defining moment of one of the main characters of the series, which is Huey, played by Jack Quaid, where he's talking to his girlfriend and she is run through by A-Train, the Flash Quicksilver-like superhero. In the script, it read, as obvious as anyone would think, the way to do that is the way that car crashes have been handled quite frequently, where we're lulled into a conversation and then it goes aggressively violent. I think instinctually I just felt like, man, we've become so used to that gimmick and that sort of cinematic structure, and was trying to think of how this moment could be different and feel different, and once again tether us to Jack Quaid's character, and realize the cool way to do it would be to have girlfriend to be there in one frame and suddenly not there in the other frame, and then have the camera wrap around and reveal in slow motion that she's been obliterated. And the very first instinct for it was to actually, as the camera comes around, see her being pulled back, and as the parallax changes, we would see that actually her body is coming apart. That became too strenuous for the visual effects department and was probably biting off way more than we could chew. So it ended up being much more blood related. As I've now watched so many people watch that show and watch that scene, it's so sudden, and watching the shot evolve, it constantly has people going, wait, no, that can't be. Wait, no, that, which is really upsetting to have it slowly unfold on you, as opposed to doing the first instinct. Now, all this being said, everyone was skeptical the entire time. The thing with visual effects is they're terrible before they're awesome. The network was asking for it to be, have it be a fast thing, and that, which was antithetical to everything we were attempting with the shot. And in the end, thankful to the VFX department, and I think Stephen Fleet was our VFX supervisor, and it really did come off fantastic, and I was so relieved and so glad that people around me could see the vision and support it. It's been a moment that I go back to a lot on my career, because there are moments as a director that you do need to pay attention and listen. And there's people around you that might see something you're not, and you need to let go of some things. But there's also times when the whole point is they don't actually see exactly what you have in your head, and you do need to hold on to those things, and people will eventually see what it's in your head when it's fully realized. It's the wisdom to know the difference that's the whole game. If I'm really being honest, my favorite shot of the whole movie is after Nadu has vanquished the predator. It's just a shot of her yelling. The way that she belts, and she was actually sick that day, and I think she was even throat sick, which is crazier. Every time I get chills because of, I remember talking to her about the scene in Captain Phillips, the end of the movie, when Tom Hanks sort of lets go. You spend that whole movie and he's like very on task and he's just getting things done, and then all of a sudden when he's finally safe, he really lets emotion out, and it's chilling and gripping. And that's a whole scene, and Amber did, I think, that in one moment. And is a beautiful shot, not because of how it's constructed. There's no weight to the frame that is cooler, or there's no movement that is extra special, or a camera rig that was eccentric. It's just Amber really digging deep and being very affecting. So, yeah, that's my favorite shot from Prey. My cinematographer and I, Jeff Cutter, we have this process when we're in prep for a movie which is trying to think of we only had one shot to tell the story of the scene, what would that one shot be? Sometimes that shot becomes the linchpin for the scene. Sometimes it doesn't even make it. It doesn't become something we shoot, but it at least like helps connect us to the story and guide us through. I remember the excitement of like there was a moment in the script that is where Nadu leaves camp and sets off on her journey. We got a drone and we shot down on the camp, and so we have this image of all the women going in one direction and Nadu going in the other. And it's a great piece of visual poetry that like in one shot you can put it on your wall and go, oh, I get thematically what this movie is about. The funny thing about animation is, I'll steal a line from my co-director, Josh Wasung. In animation, you can build anything, but you have to build everything. It still has the limitations of time and budget. There was one sequence in the first chapter, The Shield, that called for a raid on a Russian stronghold. And it's like what the whole story is leading towards. We did not have the budget or resources to build a Russian stronghold. And this needed to be like an awesome assault. So we honed in on having it feel like the camera is tethered to the back of Ursa, who's our Viking raider, and the shot never leaves her back. So you're going to experience a raid, but we don't need to show inside this hut, this is happening. Inside this part of the castle, this is happening. Inside that, we just stay tethered to her back, and the camera points one direction, occasionally going a little left, a little right, and then we can unleash, but in the confines of what we could pull off. And it is an incredibly bloody, insanely choreographed, dope shot that finishes. I mean, my favorite part was we had that, but it's like, when how does it end? And the best part is the doors are closed. She's trying to get inside to where the guy she's trying to get revenge on lies, and the giant church doors are closing, and she grabs her shield, slams it in, preventing the doors from closing, grabs a guy, throws him against the shield. His head rolls towards camera, and then she grabs the shield, doors open, boom. It's just a great finish to a shot that was challenging on every department, but beautifully done. A shot that really sticks out to me was the shot of Deck at the mouth of the cave, and he unfurls his sword. On the one hand, I just love that a shot like this is in a Predator movie. I've never seen a shot like this in the franchise. We see planets behind him. We know it's otherworldly. The fun of it was we shot this on day 0, which is a cheeky thing that we do now, where there's like a camera prep day, but instead of just prepping the camera, we'll actually shoot. We took it to the beach. We shot our opening on day 0 just because we had so much to do. That shot of him has some physical element. We actually built some set that's laying in the bottom foreground of frame, and it's a forced perspective shot, a very old school Hollywood technique. Our movie is filled to the brim with visual effects, lots of awesome digital artistry, and of course the franchise is rooted in like building a physical suit and having a man inside that suit. And I really wanted, as much as possible, to have a magic ratio of every time there's something artificial in frame, there's also something physical. And that's a shot that easily could be done just comping in something in the foreground. And you'll never know it. But the fun of on day 0 building a tactile set piece, I like to think it also just has a little unspoken little nod to the audience of feeling just that much more immersive, and that this isn't entirely on a green screen. Yeah, that's Badlands. I will tell you a shot that I guarantee most of your audience has not seen. I reference it all the time. It is from a movie called The Scorpion King. That is a movie that focuses in on The Rock's character from The Mummy Returns. It opens on a couple vistas, landscape. It's a riff off of The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, the opening of The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. But all these landscapes, and then it holds on this landscape, and this like barbarian dude, close up, enters frame, turns towards camera, and then you hear, and a shuriken or something slams into his head and takes him out. And then it like zooms in on the thing. So it's like landscape, great foreground thing, just like Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and then weapon nailing him in the face. It is kick-ass, and it lets you know something awesome's coming. And of course, it's the introduction to The Rock's character. The character intro without the character even being there. Super badass, super awesome. The other thing I will cheat and mention, 2 shots. This will be my favorite edit, and it is the opening to Super 8. The opening of Super 8 is a shot that slowly pushes in. It's inside of a factory, and there's a worker who's on a ladder changing the sign that says the last accident happened, and it's changing over from like 300 days ago, or however many long days ago, back to 0. And then the next shot is just a kid outside his home on a swing set, sad, swinging on a bench, wide shot, and that's it. Those 2 shots, like, that's it. I know the whole story. I know a really upsetting, emotional story through 2 frames. That Super 8, one of the best openings to any movie ever. And that cut, those 2 shots, you know, incredible poetry and emotionally affecting, just in 2 frames.